Welcome everybody to the Backwoods University. Today's class is going to be on the bow and arrow. I think it's class number 5. This one's going to be a little more advanced than the others. We've got a guest professor here today. Our friend Mark stopped by, and Mark is one of the best shots that I know around these parts, and he's agreed to talk with us and give us some tips. I think this video is going to be real interesting. This class is going to be very helpful to all of you.
Hi, my name's Mark. I've been shooting archery for a little over 50 years, and I'm here to share with you some tips that might help you to enjoy your archery experience and maybe increase your accuracy a little bit. First of all, we want to figure out what is your dominant eye. Everyone has one. I'm right eye dominant and right-handed. However, my wife, both my kids are right-handers, but they're left eye dominant, so they have to shoot left-handed. What you want to do is make a small hole about the size of a dime. Don't have it close to you. You want to reach out and pick something against the wall or on a tree, a little something, and look through that hole with both eyes open and stay on it. Now you want to close your right eye. Now notice you can see my right eye. Okay, that's what's doing the work here. Close your right eye, and if that object moves, that means your right eye was doing the work and you are right eye dominant. If it stays put, your left eye was doing the work, you're left eye dominant, thus you want to shoot with a left-handed bow. So one thing I want to make perfectly clear is we never actually look down at our arrow. We're fully aware of its presence, but we avoid the temptation to shift our eyes down at the arrow. Why is that? Because it robs us of our focus on where we actually want to hit. So if you look up at the ceiling or up at the sky and you put your hand out without looking down, you can still see your hand moving. That's about how much we give to our arrow. And if you can avoid that temptation, it will help you very much in the long run. There are different anchor points. You can anchor down below, down near your chin. You could take your index finger or middle finger at the corner of your mouth. You could use the tip of your finger at your eye tooth. Myself, I'll take this first joint of the thumb and I'll come all the way back to that pocket where your jaw meets your base of your skull, and I will come all the way back to there, and my string will rest on my eyebrow. These are not set in stone. You have to find your own style, but just a couple thoughts. Okay, one thing we want to avoid is unwanted bow torque. And what that is, if I grab my bow and put a pretty good grip on it, and the camera would be the target, my arrow is pointing out that way. If I start to draw that in, I'm drawing the bow in a fashion that it's not designed. It's designed to draw back this way, not torquing the limbs this way. Even if you're off by just a few degrees with hand torque, squeezing too hard, it's still going to goof you up, and it's going to cause a bad reaction upon release. You can also add unwanted torque by hinging your elbow too high, too low, getting real fancy with your fingers. That transfers into the handle. Another way we can goof up with bow torque is by not pivoting from the waist or from the knees. It's almost like a shotgun once we get to anchor. And a classic example would be a beginner that comes up to a 3D target that's uphill, and instead of pivoting from the waist and knees to make that shot, they just kind of, oops. they just sort of throw their arrow away. they just sort of pop their arm up, and you can see the alignment is all gone, or they're shooting downhill and they just sort of drop their arm. Avoid that. You want to make sure that you pivot accordingly. Consistency, consistency, consistency. The more consistent you are, the better you're going to progress. You want to be consistent with your posture, with your stance and also your chin height. Perfect example of varying your chin height would be one day my wife and I, and she's a pretty good shot. She doesn't shoot very often, but she still does a good job. She was having a wonderful day just drilling those targets, and the next day was a nice day. She said, let's go out again to the archery course. So we did. About 4 targets into it, she says, boy, I'm shooting high today. What's going on? Can you watch and see what I'm doing? In a matter of a couple of shots, I noticed that her chin height was much higher than the day before. I says, put your chin a little more lower and just relax down there. Next thing you know, she was zipping them right in where she should have been. And what happens is when we vary our chin height, guess what? Your dominant eye goes up and down, and that gives you a different sight picture to the lower peripheral vision of your arrow. So it's going to drive your mind crazy trying to figure out what you're doing wrong. So there's a really good tip for you. So including myself, some people have had the occasional experience where the string will whack the tip of your nose, and it's scary because, like, is the next one going to be worse? Is it going to be gone, or what's going on here? So something I noticed that helps out is if you tilt your head a little bit to the side, kind of like dumping the water out of your ear, and watch what happens. See, as soon as you tilt, it just moves your nose a little bit out of the way. You don't have to go to extreme, but it does help. Later on, I'm going to mention the relaxed grip again, and what that is to have a relaxed grip so that the bow can seat itself to your style of the day, depending how much you're leaning or vertical, cant. And when I say hold the baby bird, that's about how much you want to squeeze the handle. Just enough to hold it there, but not to hurt the baby bird. You want to make it a point not to squeeze at the moment of release, because what can happen, you've got a medium relaxed grip, soft grip, and if you just squeeze right at the last second, what can happen is, boom, it sends the riser and the shelf off in a direction where you don't want to hit, and it will affect your shot. So you want to stay relaxed all the way through. When you practice, it's good to practice being a statue with your follow through, and that goes for your head and your arm, your bow arm. It will give you more increased accuracy, and it'll also help you from not whacking your nose, because if you are moving your head as you come back, that can get you in trouble. But for optimum arrow accuracy, become a statue until the arrow actually hits the target, and we'll mention that again later. One of the classic things that can goof you up is a pluck, and you could be right in, steady at anchor, and everything's perfect, and instead of pulling back, we pluck the string out and pull away from the line of draw, and that can affect your accuracy in a real poor way. Another thing you want to avoid is creeping forward, where you're at anchor and you've got good back tension, and you actually start to come forward with everything as you're letting go. Avoid that. It will not help you out at all. Try to use your back tension rather than your bicep as you're coming into your anchor and throughout the whole draw if you can. There's a lot of videos online that show drills on how to encourage back tension, and what it does is it helps your fingers to relax, because you're not cranking it like a monkey paw. You're just very fluid then, and it helps you to release the string without a lot of torque on it. So snap shooting versus a hold. When people snap shoot, sometimes they shoot so quickly that it almost seems they're making a moving target out of a stationary target. And I'm not a good speed reader, and I'm not a good snap shooter, so I need a little more time. And why do I hold? The main reason is to confirm that I'm not drifting off to the right or to the left, to confirm that I'm steady. And a lot of times I will come into anchor and I notice I'm kind of daydreaming. I'm not really locked onto that spot. So I will refocus, gather my concentration, and release the arrow. It also helps for hunting, because there's going to be times you're at full draw and you're ready to shoot. You're just coming in and the darn deer wiggles or moves sideways, and now the vitals are blocked, and it's nice to be able to hold, wait for that shot, and then take the shot. So I shoot a finger tab, and whether you're shooting split finger with one finger above or three below, you want to start off with your fingers deep into that first groove and then give about an inch of draw to kind of extend those fingers, and just so they're kind of relaxed as you're using your back tension to come back. Your thumb, I like to tuck it in just like that. Okay, later on I'm going to mention elbows out. And what that simply is you put your elbows out and it gives you that clearance. I know we wear an arm guard, but it's nice to give you a little cushion of error there to prevent the string from whacking your forearm. So when you do the elbows out, make sure you remember to neutralize your string fingers after that. And when we start to raise our bow, you want to stop right at about your anchor track, your anchor, wherever your anchor line is, and then reach for the keys. Reach out and you'll notice your shoulder just kind of rolls in a little bit, and that locks it in. It doesn't actually lock it in, but it feels like it does, to allow you to use your bone structure, the frame of your bones, rather than your muscles, to hold the bow steady. And it's very, very effective, and I highly recommend that.
Mark, I got a question. When you say reach for the keys, what are you referring to?
Well, pretend that you're in a you're in an icy cave, and your car keys slid out on a ledge, and you just you can't quite reach them, so you just give that little bit extra, and oh yeah, I got them. That's all. Just reach a little bit further. That's what I was referring to.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay, once you're all set up and you're reaching out for the keys, notice how that arrow is sticking out. It's like a pool stick to me, a long pool stick pointer. And you can be foolish and avoid observing that with your secondary vision and fight it the rest of your life, or you can be aware of it without looking down. You might as well align it. It's out there, align it with your target, so when you draw back, it's like a piston. Right down the line, and that way when you come into anchor, it is ready to go, no time wasted. So we need to figure out a way to come to full draw, become a statue, and get this string off of our fingers without causing a lot of turbulence that would change the path of the arrow. There's two ways of doing that. One is a dead release, where we come into anchor and we basically just sort of feather the fingers off, feather the string off of our fingers. The other one would be a pull straight back type of release, where we feather the fingers off as we're pulling. Both are effective. The preferred way would be the pull back, where you continue to pull back. One way I shot for years, if you are dead set on shooting with a dead release, a way that might help you is to draw a little bit beyond, use the first knuckle, the first joint of your thumb, draw a little bit past anchor, and let it settle in that pocket right there where your jaw meets the skull, and it actually gives you a little bit of let off because it's stuck there. Now you're stuck there, and you can relax your fingers halfway and just let it go. Regardless, whether you're shooting a dead release or a pull straight back release, both of those, you want to feather the string halfway down your fingertips as far as you can, so it's like a hair trigger. So when you do release, it's just a nice little pop and very little turbulence on the string. So the drill that we mentioned is with your eyes closed, and the way this works is you'll pick your particular target, set up your shot, draw back, and at the moment you're ready to shoot, close your eyes and let go. Notice the follow through. This is really good training for your follow through. and for your release. I highly recommend that for both intermediate archers and beginners to maybe do this 50% of the time when you're adding something new to your form. Okay, I will walk you through a shot. First of all, take note of your stance, your posture, look towards the target, your chin height, fingers on the string, deep into the first groove, relaxed grip, about an inch of draw to kind of extend these fingers, elbows out, reach for the keys, and notice you're going to stop right around at your anchor, where your anchor track is. And that's what you want to get in the habit of stopping right there. Reach for the keys, draw back, hold. Now right now I'm pressing my index finger against my cheekbone. My hand, I'm holding the baby bird, and I'm going to draw back.
Thanks everybody for stopping by the university today. Go out there to the range and practice a lot of that tips that Mark gave us. Until next time, take care and thanks for watching.